Hey guys, do you suck at negotiating? Maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. Do you fail to get what you want when you negotiate for yourself? If you do, and you want to learn the tricks and the tips and the techniques that are used by the actual professionals, the lawyers, the negotiators, the hostage negotiators, the FBI, the family law attorneys, the people who know how to get what they want, if that's what you want to learn how to do when you negotiate, then watch to the end of this video. And for those of you who follow to the end, I'm going to give you a bonus trick that is kind of like one ring to rule them all. If you will listen and you'll wait for that one final technique, you will be the best negotiator you could possibly be. And I guarantee that if you follow through and you apply these techniques, you will improve on what you try to get when you negotiate. So let's get right into it. Step number one. We always want to know exactly, specifically what we want as an outcome and why. When you think about it, most people that negotiate, most artists that negotiate, they just ask for more, or they just want to decrease this percentage or this holdback, or they want to increase this royalty rate or this, that. But it's all about sort of increasing and decreasing, or asking for more, asking for less of something. But they rarely really understand specifically what it is they want. I want a 2.5% increase. Think about it. We often, as an indie artist, you often will leave this to your lawyers or your agent or your manager. I trust them. They'll know what percentages to ask for. But think about it. If you wanted to become a better negotiator and you knew, I need to ask for 2.7% more. And why? Maybe it's because you've crunched the numbers. Maybe you've looked at the data and realized that this particular label or this publisher or this whatever will pay that much more, and they've done it in the past, but if you cross that line, they won't. So maybe that's why. But the point is, this technique is so important to accomplish what you want as a negotiator. Always know specifically what you want as an outcome and why you want it. Number two, understand what's fair and what's not fair in a deal. I mean, think about how many artists go into a negotiation and they really have no concept of what's fair, what's not fair. They don't educate themselves in any way. And if they educated themselves on the deal and what's possible, what's fair and what's not fair, then what would happen as they go back to number one. If you know what you want to ask for and you don't realize it's a completely unfair request, you're going to be rejected. And it leaves you like, oh man, I didn't get what I want, which, circling back, that's why most artists don't get what they want. They don't educate themselves. They don't ask for something specific. So in this number two, what we're trying to say is, if you will educate yourself and you will understand what is fair and what's unfair in this deal or in this request, this ask, this particular negotiation, you are much more likely to get what you want. Because even for yourself, you're going to start to realize, if there's this range and my request is unreasonable, then that's why I'm always being rejected. So maybe what I need to do is tone it down 1%, curve it in, just a little bit, one less ask, or one less, depending on what the issue is, one less year, one less month, instead of asking for 30 days, go to 45 days, things like that. So when we know the boundaries of what's fair and what's not fair, it positions us with much more power to be able to negotiate effectively for the outcome that we want, right? So number three, what I want you to do is think about who you're negotiating with. What do they want? What are they about? What's their bottom line? What's their goal? Because what we tend to do is, as negotiators, and especially rookie or inexperienced or just ineffective negotiators, is we go in knowing exactly what we want, knowing what our demands are. And maybe we even educate ourselves and say, I know what I'm going to ask for, and I know why I'm going to ask for it. But then I don't really know anything about the party that I'm negotiating against. So if it's a label, it's a venue, it's a bar owner, it's a manager, whatever it is, we only think about ourselves and what we want. We never step into the shoes of what they want and what they're about and what their deal is. We never even educate ourselves on who they are or what deals they've done in the past. So this what you'll notice is one ties into two ties into three. These skills all work together, which is, by the way, if you stop watching right now, you're going to miss the whole rest of the skill set that will make you a much more effective negotiator. So yeah, I'm just honestly asking you, watch till the end, not just because I want those numbers, not because I just want your attention, I believe if you watch to the end, you're going to have a full kit for negotiating better. Also, if this is helpful, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this with all your friends that you know are struggling with negotiations. Maybe you don't want to give them a leg up. That, you know what's it's a total side note, but as a total side note to negotiation, there's this concept of win-win. And a lot of people feel really insecure about that. How can we both win? Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And that's what we call a zero-sum game. And in life, a zero-sum game kills the deal. It hurts everybody. When we look for win-wins, you will win. Trust me on that one. Number 4, I want you to stop thinking like a robot, stop thinking like a textbook, stop thinking like a video you just watched, and think like a human. You know what happens when we negotiate? We have conversations, we have emotions, we have egos, we have needs, we have insecurities, right? All this stuff is happening when we negotiate. So let me ask you, when's the last time you negotiated and didn't feel like puffed up when you're getting what you want, or feel beaten down when you weren't? When's the last time you sort of stepped away from your emotions in that negotiation and just saw it as a practical, a technical process to get to what you want? See, I believe personally, and I'm a negotiator every day, right? I'm a lawyer. This is part of what I do every single day. And you know what I also do? Here's another pro tip, is I always try to kill my ego, because ego kills more deals than probably anything else. So if you can kill your ego, if you can pull your ego back and think about how I said that's going to piss them off, how I feel, how I'm looking, how I'm acting is not going to get me the outcome I want. I mean, think about it. When we negotiate deals, we suddenly behave like this isn't a human I'm talking to. But if you talk this way to your friends, if you went to dinner with some friends or your partner or whatever, and you're like having a conversation the way you negotiate, you probably kill that deal. You kill that relationship. So the same rules apply in a negotiation. Treat it like a conversation. Treat it like a human being on the other side of this conversation. So don't be egotistical. Don't be a maniac. Don't be rude. Don't be mean. Don't try to harm people, because the irony of this is that you'll actually see a lot of lawyers in particular. They're just mean. They're nasty. They're win at all costs. But part of that is they don't actually win all the time. Sure, they'll get some wins that look like, hey, I got more money or whatever. But I know a lot of super successful agents, managers, lawyers who are the kindest people you've ever met. In fact, I'll tell you a quick side story. I was negotiating a trademark dispute with one of the largest retailers on the planet. They sent me, I represented an artist that I claimed this retailer had ripped off. So the retailer sent me to this lawyer that was just a junkyard dog, just mean, rude, insulting. And we went head to head and battled. And I didn't take what they wanted to give. So that guy gave up, or maybe that was part of their protocol. They sent me another one, still a junkyard dog. I went through probably 3 junkyard dog attorneys. Mean, egos, demanding, telling me I would never, get this, and I'll see you in court and blah, blah, blah. But I didn't budge. I didn't bend. I kept fighting for my client. And then suddenly I get this more rational attorney. And, you think, hey, maybe that's just, luck of the draw, right? I got a better one. But we didn't meet eye to eye either. So long story short, and you can probably see where this is going, I get kicked around to, I don't know, it's been years, but let's say 6 different attorneys, 6 different law firms. These were all outside counsel for this big box retailer. So finally, I get basically inside the building, and I get one of their top attorneys internally. And they're the kindest, most communicative. They're talking to me. They're not trying to insult me. And we talk and we work it out. And we actually both got what we wanted. And you know what I see? I see a better negotiator on the other end of that. Somebody who actually talks, somebody who's rational, somebody who doesn't insult, somebody who's not mean, somebody who's not filled with ego. But all those other attorneys that I, by the way, passed right over, one over the other. I got what I want, and I never stooped to their level. And that's happened, just countless times in my practice. But I'm trying to encourage you, for those of you who've learned from TV or movies or whatever, that negotiating is about strength and power and meanness and demands. That's all Hollywood bull. Really, negotiating is about treating people with compassion, treating people with understanding and empathy, and understanding. I'm not trying to be like holistic, let's light some candles and negotiate, in a yoga circle. I'm serious. When you realize that negotiation is human and it's human interaction, you suddenly realize, wow, like I could be a completely different person here. And I could appeal to maybe they want to help me and I'm going to give them a reason to help me. Sure, you can call that manipulation, but the point is negotiating is about seeing a human being on the other side of that table and talking with them and working this out. So that's number 4, super, super important. We're going to wind it down with number 5. Again, if this is helpful, forward it on to your friends, like and subscribe. It's very important for me to grow a content base that's going to help you become better at what you do as an indie artist. So make sure you take the time to do that. So the number 5 thing, and this is so ironic that so many artists forget this, is don't forget the ask. We get into these negotiations and we're like, just going back and forth and numbers and percentages and dates and years and time frames. And we get so caught up in the back and forth process that we forget that psychologically, it's like the salespeople will tell you, and professionals in sales will tell you. Actually, I'm thinking of I think it was the Al Pacino movie, and always be selling, right? Or somebody in the group will remember what the movie was. But in some ways, you're always selling. And so what so many artists forget to do is ask. So aside from knowing what you want, educating yourself on your opponent, knowing and the deal, knowing what the opponent is and what they want and what they're about, thinking like a human, is never forget to actually ask for what you want. You'd be surprised at how few people actually formulate that. How many few artists articulate, I know what I want, this is what I want, and say it. Instead, it's just this bumbling like blah, 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 blah. I don't, I'd like to make more money or whatever. Like you need to say, this is what I want. Can I get this? At some point in the negotiation, you have to make the ask, right? And if you don't, you're going to fail as a negotiator. Now, my guess by this point, we're going to wrap it up with a bonus one in a second, sort of the one ring to rule them all. But my guess is if you go back through all 5 of these, you'll realize you're not doing all of them, maybe 1 or 2 here or there, but even that one, you're probably not doing well. So if you will kick this in and say, I'm going to go back through these 5, I'm going to implement these today, you can be a better negotiator today. So the final bonus, I think this is the thing that no one's thinking about except the truly pro negotiators. And if you use this tool, you'll change your life. You'll change your negotiations overnight. And I'm going to say it really simply, and then I'm going to explain it really quickly. Really simply, never leave anything on the table. So this is that piece where we're like, okay, never leave anything on the table. What does that mean, Brock? So you get a record deal, you get a publishing deal, you get, some gig and a bar owner's just sending you a contract. And you're like, I just want more money and, a green room, or I want, a bigger artist royalty and I want a fatter advance. Like it's really simple, right? But have you ever stopped to think about the power and the reach that a label has or a gig owner has? So let's take a gig owner, because I think in some ways it's a little bit simpler. Record deals are a lot more complex. And so just a simple example of this is you get, you want to perform in a bar, you get a one piece, sheet of paper. Hey, you're going to play this night, this, 7-song set. You come in at this time, here's what you pay us, or here's what we pay you, or here are the splits, that sort of thing. If there's alcohol sales, kind of lay these things out. So we just push for more money. We push for, hey, maybe I don't want to do 7 songs. I want the flexibility to do between 5 and 7. So we got some smarts and we're trying to be flexible and give ourselves some breathing room. But think about, is that everything? Have we negotiated everything? Because what we tend to do is look at the piece of paper and use that as a cheat sheet to negotiate. So number 1, anything that's not on the paper, we don't even negotiate. We don't even think about. What if this particular bar has a mailing list of, 10,000 people, 50,000 people, and guess what? They're all in a 10, 20, 30-mile radius of where you live and you play. What if that bar would be willing to hit on their next newsletter, talking about you? Maybe they already do that. Maybe like, come on, man. Is that really going to move the meter? Maybe, maybe not. But did you even think about it? Did you think about trying to guarantee a spot once a month for the next 12 months. Say, hey, bar owner, I'm going to come here, but will you allow me first pick on the second Friday of every month for the next year? You left something on the table. What about, can you set up a merch table? Now, if that's not on their contract and maybe you don't have merch, you didn't think about it. But what if you can run down to a screen printer, run 50 shirts, and the bartender says, I don't care, the bar owner, and suddenly you just made 20 bucks a pop, and maybe you sold, 20 shirts, whatever, 400 bucks, easy. My point is that we leave things on the table because part of the reason why we do that is we use the contract or the sheet as a cheat sheet. So we end up only negotiating what's on that sheet, forgetting anything else. Remember, the table is anything you want to put on it. So if you want extra promotion, if you want the bar to run on its social media, like, hey, I want to guarantee that when you post, like this bar just might be amazing. I'm thinking about, some venues in LA, and they have really strong social media presence. But you don't just want like one picture from the night and people are just like pushing through, scrolling through. What you want is to think about, could I leverage the bar or the venue social media to my advantage? And maybe they'll let you throw in like a little teaser, video teaser, something. So never leave anything on the table means don't use the one sheet or the contract as your cheat sheet. Think about any way you can value or you can get value from that relationship that maybe isn't on the table. But I know that you can negotiate better. I know if you implement these tools, you can start today getting more of what you want in every deal. So go after it.